Hello, hello. It is so good to see you. I hope that you are having an incredible day. I know I am. I am super pumped, motivated, just inspired by everything I see around me. Like, first off, this lip. After watching Tiffany D's video, I went back through my lip collection and I started kind of decluttering again, and I rediscovered this gem. This is the Bite Beauty and Mousse Bouche formula in the shade Gazpacho. I need to wear this on an everyday basis because this red is just beautiful. And then makeup as normal, Project Pan, August makeup bag stuff. So I'll go on and link that in the card above. Glasses are Firmu. Love these frames. So let's get into, this is all about the August update for Pan That Palette. And I really feel good. I just got out of a really big panning slump. I felt very stuck. I was having a lot of anxiety towards my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, but then in the last couple of weeks, I've really had a lot of light bulb moments, and it's taught me a lot about the palette. And I'm seeing the creative genius behind why the shades were chosen that are included in this palette. So before I get into kind of what I've figured out, let me go on and show you where I was back in July, and then we'll talk about where the palette is currently. All right, here she is. I know, huge changes. Honestly, I needed this kind of progress from last month because I was feeling tremendous anxiety towards this palette. It was just making me very, I mean, it sounds almost stupid to talk about it like this, but you know, like when we love makeup as much as we do, when it comes to the panning side of things, it really does bring on like a whole lot of emotions and feelings and just processing using the makeup. It's more than being fun. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a very interpersonal turn. And, you know, I know that I kind of push myself to these goals of finishing a palette in a year, but this palette in particular was giving me a lot of fear, a lot of trepidation, a lot of anxiety. So over the past couple of weeks, I really have just been in particular fear of the shades Hazelnut, Hot Chocolate, Gilded Ganache, and then kind of White Chocolate, because there is a lot of shadow in here, and it took me 7 months to get through Champagne Truffle. Obviously, we don't have 7 months left in 2017, but, you know, we'll work with, you know, what we got here. So I happened to be walking around my grocery store a couple of weeks ago, and I was just, like I said, I was feeling a lot of just negativity and not a lot of good vibes towards this palette in particular. But then I passed by, my grocery store recently started including e.l.f. as part of the lineup, and I happened to pass by and I saw all of the Studio brush lines. It happens to be some of my favorite brush line that I own, and so this brush in particular caught my attention. It's the e.l.f. Flawless, what is this called? The Flawless Face Brush. And this is my favorite powder brush as of late to use with a pressed powder. And I was just thinking about it and thinking about going through Hazelnut and Hot Chocolate and Gilded Ganache, because I do think about eyeshadow probably more than I should during the day. And, you know, it just got me thinking. I was like, Hazelnut looks a lot like a shimmery bronzer. This brush is something that you can use with a bronzer. And so I got home and I took my makeup off and I started playing around with it, and it worked. Hazelnut is a fantastic bronzer for your face. I am wearing it on my face currently, and so as soon as I tried it on and kind of let my makeup settle into my skin and kind of look like it oxidized, if you will, for the rest of the day, I love the effect that shadow has. So now, hooray, hooray, hooray. I have no more fear of finishing Hazelnut out of this palette. So I'm using it as a bronzer. If you are struggling with this shade, or you're feeling like there is so much brown in this palette, because there is, that's another tip for you. The next tip, Gilded Ganache. Gilded Ganache really is a very weak shade on its own. It is muddy, it's patchy, it's hard to work with, even when you foil it with MAC Fix Plus or use shadow bases under it. It's just a challenging shade to work with. I have found a couple of olive toned bases that I plan to bring in for September and October to give it a really green base. However, that being said, this is an amazing, I know you heard me right, an amazing shade to mix with some of these other browns in the palette. I adore Gilded Ganache mixed in my crease with hazelnut. And now that I've discovered I use this as a bronzer, I've been mixing Gilded Ganache and hot chocolate. It makes a perfect everyday crease color. It's beautiful. You tone down the darkness, the muddiness of this shade, but then you amp up this or hazelnut to be a much deeper brown on the eyes. It is gorgeous. Like I said here, I wonder if you're going to be able to see it close up, but it's actually one of my favorite ways to wear a brown out of this palette. So what I do is I take my Revlon crease brush right here, I tap it into the hot chocolate shade, I tap it into Gilded Ganache, I knock off the excess, and then I apply it to my eyes, and usually I need to go back in with a second layer. It is beautiful. So I'm finally making a little bit of a dip in Gilded Ganache. I'm not as afraid of finishing hot chocolate over here. It's still gonna take me a while, but like I said, now I don't have that fear and trepidation that I once did. So I'm so excited to come on here and share that with you because I understand why Jared chose the shades that he did for this palette. It's still a challenging palette. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for beginners, but now that I really stepped into my groove with it, this palette has been such a wonderful multitasking palette. In fact, I talked about this in Kaylee's another palette tag, that if you have dark hair and dark brows, this is really the best bang for your buck in terms of a multitasking palette, because since January I've been able to use Triple Fudge in my brows. I've used it as liner, I've used it as shadow. It's brilliant. I've used the Milk Chocolate shade and Semi Sweet as contours. Milk Chocolate was perfect in the wintertime. Semi Sweet is the same coloring shade range as the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer on my skin. So if you have a light to medium skin tone, you have another option there. Then, like I said, going through with hazelnut and hot chocolate as a shimmery bronzer, especially since it's still really, really hot here in Texas. It's going to stay hot for a while. We can get away with wearing the summery makeup a little while longer. So, I mean, it's why not? Why not get the use out of these? And then going through with other things, like I'm getting tons of use out of Salted Caramel lately because I'm back to using it as a transition shade. I've got Creme Brulee all over the lid. I love this shade as well. It is one of my favorite golds that I've ever panned. I do enjoy white chocolate. It is going to take me a while, but it's kind of a gimme shade. Like, I know that I could use it, and even if I don't finish it by the end of December, this is a shade that could easily roll into panning with the next palette and then to, you know, finish this one off completely. So this has been a really, really good month. I feel very confident about what I can accomplish. And so as far as the September makeup basket, I'm going to be panning Gilded Ganache pretty intensely on its own, but I don't know, I love this look that I'm wearing so much. I may go on and just wear it till Creme Brulee is done, see how much more progress I can make with hot chocolate and Gilded Ganache, and I'm definitely going to be busting into hazelnut as a bronzer. So if you're looking for a great brush, I would go with something fluffy. And like I said, this e.l.f. Flawless Face Brush is great for pressed powders, or, you know, you can use it for bronzers and highlighters and all that good stuff. So $6 at Target, at your local grocery store. Seriously, best just kind of thought process ever with the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. And I really just, I've come around to this palette. I really enjoy this, and out of all the palettes I've panned so far, I never thought I'd say this, but I really, really, really like this palette now that I mean, like I said, it's taken me months to get into a groove, months. So I don't know, yet again, one of the amazing things about Pan That palette is the roller coaster is such a learning curve, and it's really, really neat to see how my preferences have changed as I go through this experience. And so I wish you all the best. I hope that you are loving your palette, and if you're not, keep pushing through it. I promise there's gonna be light coming. Sometimes it just takes like a moment of brilliance to kind of hit you and you think, oh, this is how I can multitask it, or you know, one of the other things I talked about recently is I went around Ulta because I did need to feel some inspiration into feeling, you know, willing to use my Justice League painting items in my Too Faced chocolate bar palette, and I found it. So keep pushing through those walls, and when it gets tough, it'll happen. It'll happen. Keep watching some videos, get yourself inspired, and you will push through, and you will feel so much more confident and better. And it's honestly more re-energizing to go back into your collection after moments like that than it is to bring in something cool and fun that's brand new at the store. So wanted to share that with you. That is about it for now. The next video, I am participating in a collab where we are shopping our stash to dupe a look from the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. Super fun, and you know me, I've got to figure out a way to bring in the chocolate bar palette because that's how I do things. And so I figured out a way to dupe that look. So that is coming on the 19th of this month. So look for it towards the weekend. Take care, and I look forward to catching up with you real soon. See ya.